I'm winning. Yes, I'm winning. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm going to win this game. I don't believe it. I can't believe it's not butter.
Rook takes h5 check, king g4, and you've got two pieces hanging at the same time. Easy pickings for Magnus Carlsen, who's going to ferry his knight back to f4.
We just talked about plundering a pawn, and it's like,
there we go.
Oh, you mean like this? Like...
Now, Aman, knight f4, it's so important to understand that rook takes c5 and bishop takes f4 is losing for black because the minor pieces are incapable of handling the h-pawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that is a really... It's like such a strange concept because you always in chess think two pieces for the rook. Of course, it's better than two pieces, but the minor pieces are notoriously very, very poor at defending not only against pass pawns, but especially ones on the side of the board, A and H pawns, and that's exactly what white has.
I would also be tempted by the move f4, trying to give up the h-pawn in order to shuttle the f-pawn off the board quickly, but if you can play knight f4 and you get away with it, you absolutely should. Knight f4, rook f5, there's king g4. White's pieces are ideally positioned to support those minor pieces. But Magnus, that lack of confidence, is it going to bite him yet again? He's now down on the clock. He has to find knight f4. That is a really, really important move.
Yeah, and it should be said that f4 is like a very decent backup, and this is a complicated move to play. Knight f4 invites everything because you might think, oh, the king is coming, and if my h-pawn is not going as fast as I think it should, it's not something that you can be too confident in.
Aman, 15 seconds. He's played the bishop to f4. He puts a third piece on that square. And rook f5, sacking the bishop in order to go after white's queenside pawns. What an incredible decision. And rook g5, Hikaru is navigating these tactics with unbelievable precision.
Yeah, bishop takes h6. It was just rook takes f2, I believe. And pawns falling. And without any pawns left, you're not going to win.
Magnus has to be careful here. I know it sounds crazy, but I would be playing this for a win, given the time situation if I'm Hikaru.
He's bobbing his head. Rook takes f2.
Oh my gosh.
C4. It's just
rook
barely
f3.
surviving.
Magnus is going to lose the b-pawn, and he has another endgame to defend. I can't believe we're saying this, and he let his clock run too low.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
gosh. Rook d3 is such a stable move. So rook f3, you have to... I mean, rook d3 now. Isn't that just a draw?
It was. Now he's gone rook b2, allowing knight e7. The knight... going back, where? Is it going back to d5? Bishop f8 has to be considered, but don't get yourself checkmated if you're Hikaru. Rook d7 check and knight c6 sets up a mate threat, and that's why he goes to f4 and back to a8. And bishop b8, whoa!
So that's why he does
sacks.
this.
Oh my gosh, he's playing for a win.
Yeah, this is very, very strange.
He's playing for a win. Magnus's knight is stuck, and black has connected passers him on.
Magnus is the one that needs to be careful, though.
Yeah, for sure.
King b7, and there's no knight d7.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
There's only one move in that position, and nobody could produce it.
No.
Absolutely insane. I can't believe it.
Magnus is like, how did this just happen? This was the most unbelievable endgame yet.
Have you ever seen a mic drop in chess? This was one of them.
I care only about the attack.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the move is bishop b7 here.
That is insane. That is insane.
But how can you resist? How can a human resist the temptation to grab h4?
And he finds it, bishop b7.
That's because he's not human.
Instantly by Hikaru. But how do you continue now? But it takes on g3. But if I take on g3?
Rook takes g3, and I think the point is just that black's attack is going to be unstoppable there.
But still, bishop takes c7, you hit the pawn on e5. It's still looking very, very dicey.
Absolutely. Black might have to go f6 there. I'm not saying it's easy to evaluate or play. Wesley down under a minute. Yeah. But so far he's played so accurately. He has to find and correctly evaluate queen takes h4 and g3. I mean, is there any...
What you could also do is maybe just cb. Yeah, or cb, and then after bishop b4, then take in g3. That's sort of the easier way to do it.
Yeah, and that might lead to some sort of an endgame. F takes g3, queen takes c4. And probably black is better there as well.
Wesley getting below 30 seconds. He takes on h4, king g1,
Amazing.
g3. Hikaru has to take. He has to take.
Absolutely has to take. And knight takes...
No,
queen takes c5. Are you kidding me? Queen takes c5, rook g7 though. is his idea, but rook
But do
takes
you have
f7.
any threats?
Rook takes f7, queen h1.
Because you give a check, king f2,
No, the
king
king runs.
g2, and king
King
e1,
e3.
right? Yeah. Or king
Or
e3.
king or king e1,
Both
as
are
you
probably
said. And
safe.
white just escapes all the checks, and Hikaru is
Rook
puzzled. He
f7
plays
by
rook
Hikaru.
takes f7.
Oh, after
Another-
rook a g8, there's even queen takes g7.
Yep.
And then
Rook
check
a
and bishop-
g8. Boom.
No, wait, but then queen takes d4. Queen takes d4 is check.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
yeah.
win material.
Rook g8. Wesley plays it, but Hikaru can
there
just play
is
bishop back to d4
Bishop
immediately,
d4,
Benjamin.
right? And there's nothing, yeah. So queen takes g7 looks very tempting, but it doesn't win. But bishop d4 indeed should win. Because there's
Queen
nothing.
h1, king f2, and the king simply escapes.
takes
There's
the
many
rook.
winning moves. And then
Okay,
after
you
rook
cannot-
takes, Wesley just resigns.
He could have taken, because after queen e8, there's rook g8, bishop d4, queen takes d4, check.
There's f3 instead. I think there's going to be a perpetual.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Oh, big missed opportunity there at the end for Levon. And he's got to avoid flagging.
Well, what if I... Oh yeah, he only has 2 seconds, I just realized.
Oh, he's playing for it, though. But he's
Gonna try
walking
to
on
run-
hot coals.
In C3.
He's running away. King d2, queen c2, king e3. And
Oh my
Hikaru's
god,
out
no
of
more checks! Oh
Great.
my god.
It's winning.
How did he do that?
Wait a second. It's not over yet. King e7.
Yo,
Hikaru's going to
King
win the
E7,
pawn
they're left.
back.
Oh my god.
Levon might lose this.
How many pawns is this? 5 pawns for a rook. You don't see
Oh,
that every
Levon.
day.
Levon gave away his pawn, and Hikaru's playing for a win now after e3. He's going to win.
Oh, this is...
Hikaru's going to win.
What are we witnessing?
Holy sh... Oh, my God.
In D3, probably E2 or... Wait a second.
Oh, Levon's
This
going
is
to...
still... I still
He's gonna
can't
flag.
process this.
He's going to
E2?
flag. An exchange
B5.
sacrifice. B5. B5.
He's winning.
Oh, it just wins. It wins on the spot. He can't miss this, and he doesn't. And Hikaru with a big blunder there.
And Hikaru completely overlooked it. You saw his reaction there. He's like, what am I thinking to allow this? And now there's going to be a pawn on c6. He hasn't taken it yet. There he goes. He can play... Look, can't get e4 and d5 because the d4 pawn is loose.
But the game is so far from over. Nihal's pawn phalanx in the center is decisive. It should yield victory, but Hikaru, for the time being, is going to stabilize and keep his pieces in the center and try to keep White's minor pieces at bay. Most important for Hikaru is to keep this knight firmly entrenched on c7. Do not let this pawn move forward. Knight a6 runs into b5.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Be very, very careful here. A knight 6 would be a blunder. He goes back to d3. Good recognition by Nihal. If Hikaru doesn't lose this game, I'm just going to be in disbelief. I mean, this looks so incredibly lost. I see 3.6 on the eval bar. If I was just looking at this, I'm like, okay, White has to win this game. Of course. Look at the b6 pawn. Look at the passer on c6. Look at the weak light squares all across the board. How in the world can anyone survive this game? Let's see if Hikaru can show us.
Well, so far, so good for Nihal. He is making massive progress. He has tied black down to the b6 pawn. Knight b4 was an incredibly astute positional move because it provoked this weakness. And here come the other pawns. Robert, I don't like the phrase the position plays itself because, well, no, Nihal is handling the white pieces here as far as I know. But this should be pretty straightforward if he avoids any tactical blunders.
Yeah, queen d4, just a pile up pressure on b6. That doesn't look so fun. As you said, e4, f4, e5. You can play like that. You can play quiet moves like h3, right? Just like a little move here and there to improve your position if you feel it helps. But e4 is just self-explanatory.
Yeah. Start with e4. It doesn't, it's not a committal move in any way. f4 is somewhat more committal, but your king is still perfectly safe. Hikaru desperately trying to prevent f4. He's preparing en passant. But I think h3 disrupts the pawn.
Yeah, because knight f4.
Also good.
Queen e2 next to win the pawn on g4 directly. Oof.
I would play h3 at some point, though, just to free up your pawns.
Knight takes d5? No, there's queen d2 or something like that.
Close one.
Okay, how many extra pawns does White have?
b5. And this is excellent defense by Hikaru. His only chance is to create a passer on the queen side. Robert, I'm getting a very bad feeling about this already. I know it's +5, but I've been in the situation so many times against Hikaru.
Yeah, right. He's just giving him a chance. This a-pawn is sprinting to the other side. a4, a3, a2 happens before you know it. And look at the dark square control by Hikaru's queen. c7, not available. The knight and queen cover it. d6 is covered by both of those pieces as well. So I feel like Nihal should still be winning, but he's down to 18 seconds, and he's got to find a move.
And queen h4 was the correct move.
Oh,
He plays
no!
e3, allows the queen trade and a4.
Oh my gosh.
And knight d4 apparently is the best move here. Just going for the mass trade of pieces, and knight e2 check is a fork. Oh my god, that's a devastating intermezzo.
Wait, but he finds knight c3 instead, but what's the difference? There's rook e1.
Rook e1, rook b1.
He missed knight
No,
e2!
he blundered his queen! He blundered his queen!
No way!
Hikaru's gonna win this. Or maybe not. It's still
he
a
could
lot of
lose
pawns
this
for
still.
white. Robert, that tells you how winning white's position was. He blundered a queen, and it's still not that clear.
Yeah, you want e5 and d6. That's what you... So it goes c7. He wants d6 next.
A4,
Oh my gosh,
d6, and white's in time.
King f7, there's still d6.
Holy
you take the knight,
smokes,
bishop
C8
h
queen.
and bishop h3, exactly.
Oh. Wait a second, folks. This is not over yet. Absolutely 3-result game. Forget the darned eval bar.
Oh,
He missed
e6!
e6.
Wait, and I wonder if Hikaru missed
E8?
that? King e8? Maybe?
He's got perpetual. He's got perpetual check, and Hikaru has to take the mature call and make it.
Oh, wait, is he going to take the 96 of the queen?
Oh my god. And then there's like e5 and bishop,
bishop
d5. Are you
d5.
kidding me?
Wait, bishop d5 or bishop b7, but bishop
Or
b7 is
FE.
queen g6. Bishop
Or
b7 is a
FE.
blunder.
Make a
It's a
move.
blunder! Queen g6 to b1! Oh my gosh, he blundered! Oh, that is a backbreaker. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's trying to evict that knight, but the b3 square hasn't paid its rent, and that knight on c6 is going to buy in cash. It's going over to b3. Great move by Fabi, and I think the situation is now dire for Hikaru Nakamura. Black could even play knight b3 now. You don't have to move this knight yet, and he does just that.
Oof.
And now you got to look for tactics, Casa. Is there... Okay, knight f6 drops the pawn. That's the problem. Maybe the knight could sink its teeth into f2. Instead, he's sink its teeth into e3.
Yeah, that's a nasty outpost for that knight. And again, black now is better on both sides of the board. So I would consider, again, trying to get this rook on a8 involved. There could be some type of doubling. f4 could even be sensitive. At some juncture, there might be something to bishop d6 at some point. Not currently.
B8. Knight
Wow.
d4. He's blundered his knight. He's blundered his knight.
Oh, no.
Knight d4, and it's over. And you know
And
why?
now he's
Because
gotta
the knight
sack
on
an
e3
exchange.
is trapped. He's got to sack an exchange, or he's got to sack a minor piece with rook a b8. That's how quickly the game turns. And the reason I say he's blundered his knight, Casa, is because after bishop takes d4, c takes d4, the pawn on e4 covers up the knight's only 2 escape squares, and the pawn on h3 covers its 3rd escape square. Crazy.
Yeah, it's honestly a bit tragic. It's Shakespearean even. I think, yeah, again, the time difference here tells the story for me personally, because when he made that decision, he was no longer comfortably ahead on the clock. And again, that's where the mistakes happen. And so he's going to have to do a better job of keeping that time advantage healthy.
And he thought that knight on e3 was completely safe, and it looked safe. It was defended by a dark-squared bishop, and because white does not possess a dark-squared bishop, he thought that mechanism, that defensive construction was watertight, but nothing is ever watertight against Hikaru Nakamura. The game isn't totally over. Fabi's still trying to stir up some complications with this interesting move g5. His idea, clearly, f takes g5, bishop c7. There's actually a really devilish trap here that I'll play on the board really quickly. F takes g5, bishop c7 doesn't look all that dangerous because of rook takes e3. But if you keep calculating, the rooks are aligned, and black picks off the exchange with bishop to f4. So there is quite a bit to think about here for Hikaru Nakamura, who doesn't touch that with a 10-foot pole and instead eliminates the c4 pawn, forcing the exchange of knights while he's at it.
And g5 is a really creative idea, but I'm a little disappointed he went for that, because there were a lot of endgames there, if an exchange down, where if he maintained his pawn structure, a healthy pawn structure on the king side, he would have had drawing chances. And so this one now, with the structure being compromised the way it is, it's going to be a lot harder to hold. And I think Naka's going to nestle his king on f3 at some point. He's going to go king g2, king f3. He's going to eventually make inroads on both the queen side and the king side, and it's going to be a wrap.
There's too many pawns on the board. If there were no queenside pawns, there would be very serious drawing chances. But as long as Hikaru can keep at least 2 of his pawns alive, I think that given black's clock situation, this is a virtually indefensible position. We see Hikaru throwing in that check on G2, driving the king back to F8 and using his rooks, activating them to the maximum, but you see
Hold
something.
on, bishop d4. Yeah, I was thinking maybe bishop d4 in combination with, or bishop e3. It's the more pawns come off the board, the better the drawing chances are for black. So I'm a little surprised that not got parted with the a pawn.
Yeah, now it's a 2-on-2 on the king side. Now, the a pawn is completely inconsequential. I think that pawn can be surrounded and captured whenever white wants it. But look at Hikaru, rook g5, and black is completely paralyzed. Black is just, there's too many threats here. And he's also dropping a bunch of pawns on the king side. Now it's over.
Yeah, and again, that g5 move really did turn the game from the ease of conversion perspective, because when black had the pawns on f7, if black had the pawns on f7, g6, and h7 on the light squares, complementing the dark square bishop, it would have been much harder for white to make inroads. I'm an ancient